My next guest is a nursing board top-notcher in the Philippines who became an international student in Australia. He is also the vice president of an NGO in the Philippines, I Am Mad. His migrant story of perseverance became viral and was featured by CNN, GMA7, ABS-CBN, and UNIOM. He is now working as a registered nurse in Canberra while still being active in his social media accounts with the aim of inspiring others. Jao Jundam, welcome to the show.
Yes, Zach, thank you for having me in this show today.
Thanks for traveling from from Canberra to Sydney.
Yeah, 3 hours away, pero saya naman kasi may favorite Thai restaurant ako dito. Kino na lang nag-lunch. Yeah.
Ilang oras yung bus from Canberra to Sydney?
So around three to 3.5 hours lang naman siya.
Comfortable naman.
Comfortable. Kasi parang coach yung bus. So may toilet din sa loob. Ganun. So okay naman siya.
So 3 hours for me is a very long time sitting sa bus. What do you do?
I'll just download movies from Netflix, ganun. Tapos doon ka lang papanoorin or tutulog. Pero may wifi din naman kasi yung coach. So kahit pa paano nakakapag, kapag Facebook, Instagram and stuff. Yeah.
Quick icebreaker question. Kung meron ka lang isang araw para mabuhay sa mundo, how will you spend your day?
Siguro I would spend it talking about my mom and being with my mom. Because being the panganay, parang kami naging magkasundo or magkasangga sa lahat. So if I would have that last day of my life in the world, I would probably spend it with my mom and also spoiling my mom with whatever she wants and she needs.
If you have one day to live, para magwalwal. Okay?
Okay.
Walang limit, there's no money limitation. Ano yung gagawin mo?
Siguro ako talaga, well, I'll go back to the Philippines and do the outreach program that I usually do. Kasi, yeah, it's just yung fulfillment na nararamdaman ko when I do that. It's out of this world. That's why I always come back to the Philippines every at least 6 months to conduct those outreach programs. Kasi seeing those kids smile and being part of a community where I was growing up as well, it kind of makes my life fulfilled. So I think if I'm gonna spend my last day in the world, I would do it in a fulfilling way.
So that's your version of walwal.
Yeah, so I mean I'm 28. So parang at this age parang yun na siguro yung nagbibigay sa akin ng comfort.
What made you decide to move to Australia?
I think practicality-wise, kasi ako yung panganay sa magkakapatid and I have a single mother. So parang gusto kong mag-step up na rin in helping my mom in the financial needs of our family. So ayun, and also in terms of like yung closeness and proximity niya sa Philippines, siya yung pinakamalapit na western country sa country natin. Kaya that's why I chose Australia.
And what was your life in the Philippines back then? Did you come from a wealthy family, comfortable ba, or did you come from nothing?
Well, I would say we're in the middle class kasi my mom, she was a dentist. And then, so we were studying private school naman sa Philippines and nakapag-aral ako sa Manila Doctors College of Nursing naman during my college years. So I would consider like our family in the middle class.
Is it your always dream to come to Australia or go overseas?
Not really. So I actually plan to study medicine in the Philippines. Because my mom is a dentist, my two aunts are also both doctors, and I saw how they gave back to the community, especially in our province in Sulu. So seeing that while growing up, I actually kind of dreamt of also pursuing medicine in the Philippines. But yun nga, growing up, I realized na mahirap yung life in the Philippines, especially even if you're a healthcare professional. So naisip ko na, I'll establish myself first in a financial aspect, and then once I could, then I'd probably pursue medicine still, but with the support of myself na gano'n na hindi na ako mag-ask ng help from my family.
Sabi mo sa mga posts mo sa social media, ikaw ay maka-Pilipino, makabayan.
Yep.
But why did you leave Philippines to come to Australia?
Siguro, lagi kong iniisip dati na mahalin yung bansa, pero minsan kailangan mo mas mahalin mo muna yung sarili mo bago mo mahalin yung bansa mo. Kasi paano mo mamahalin yung bansa kung wala kang means of loving or providing to your country? Like for example, yung sa organization namin ngayon na it's an NGO, so we don't have any financial support from anything or from anyone. So the funds are from the volunteers. So ngayon na nasa ibang bansa ako, I'm freely and I'm able to provide financial aids whenever we conduct those outreach programs. So parang sa akin siguro yung pagmamahal ko sa bansa, it's not just being merely physically in there, but also kind of giving back and also continuously passionately loving the Philippines.
I strongly agree with what you said na porket makabayan ka, maka-Pilipinas ka, that doesn't mean that you have to stay in the country.
Yeah.
Kasi mas madaling tumulong sa ating mga kababayan, lalo sa Pilipinas, if you have the means to do it. And I'm talking about financially. Kasi that's always the case, eh. Diba? How much money you have. And that will determine on the amount of help you can do. Kasi hindi pwedeng puro heart, puro passion. Diba? How can you fly to the other provinces kung you don't have the money to buy a plane ticket? Getting sponsorships ang hirap. Not everyone will give you sponsorships or will agree with the mission that you're trying to do. So yeah, I strongly agree na sometimes it's good to move to other country para makaipon to build yourself, and then once you're fully capable, na you can help more people sa Philippines.
Correct po.
Bakit nursing yung napili mo sa Pilipinas?
Well, pre-med sana siya. So, yun yung naisip ko na magandang pre-med for medicine kasi nga, kumbaga nag-aaral na kayo ng pathophysiology, disease process, the medications, pharmacology. And also, meron kang backup na if ever hindi ka tumuloy sa medicine like what I had or what I did, meron ka pa ring backup na stable job kasi nursing in the whole world, hindi yan mawalan ng employment kasi kailangan, especially when COVID happened and heaps of governments realized how important it is for nurses to be in the field. So yun yung kinuha ko. First is because I think that it's more kind of related to medicine, and second, I have a backup plan.
So hindi siya pinush sa'yo ng parents mo?
No. So, my mom actually wanted me to pursue dentistry para may magtuloy ng legacy ng clinics, ng dentistry, and all of that. Pero, they let me choose kung ano man yung course na gusto ko dati sa Pilipinas.
That's very good.
Yeah.
You've had really good parents. Kasi not everyone have very understanding parents.
Yes,
Na they
correct.
will try to control you, your decisions, yung mga pangarap mo. And yeah, congrats to your parents.
Thank you. Thanks to my mom.
Congrats, mom. Anong name ni mom?
Jinky.
Jinky.
Yeah po.
Last name?
Jundam.
Ako,
Pacquiao.
Pacquiao. Pacquiao. Saan mas okay mag-take ng nursing? Sa Pilipinas or sa Australia?
Ako, kung papapiliin ako, sa Pilipinas talaga. Kasi yung theoretical learning, feeling ko mas na-establish ako sa Pilipinas as well as yung practical skills. Kasi dito sa Australia, it's just 3 years of nursing. In the Philippines, it's 4. And then dito, it's more of assessments through essays. So essay formats and stuff. And then when you go to placements, meron pa rin mga restrictions na guided ng rules and laws and regulations of Australia. But in the Philippines, whenever we do or we conduct placements or duties na tinatawag sa Pilipinas, minsan nawawala na yung rules and regulations kasi sobrang kulang ng tao. So, for example, before kailangan magpaanak ng baby and wala ng nurses or wala ng midwives na available. So, kapag confident ka na kaya mong gawin and you're still, supervised by your clinical instructor, pwede mo siyang gawin. So, para sa akin, I think that's the reason why yung market ng Filipino nurses ay sobra in the whole world kasi hasang-hasa kami in terms of theories as well as sa practical na nadadala namin until mag-work kami professionally. Kasi estudyante pa lang, hasang-hasa na. What more kapag nagtrabaho na as professional nurses?
So would you say na mas mahirap mag-aral ng nursing sa Philippines compared to Australia?
I would say yes. Kasi unang sa pool, hindi ka makapagtrabaho kapag sa Pilipinas ka kasi sometimes yung klase namin 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Tapos siguro 3 days dyan nasa school kayo, then 4 to 5 days nasa duty, nasa placement, nasa hospital, nasa community para maggawa ng mga community nursing. Dito sa Australia, you still have the balance. I think that's a positive thing as well. Dito sa Australia, you have the balance of studying, working, and doing, your leisure time and activities. Pero sa Pilipinas, hindi talaga kaya kasi nga nursing and medical field yung inaaral mo. Parang ganun.
I think that's a very good observation and yung big difference ng first world country compared to the third world or let's say developing countries.
Yes.
Yung education, when you go to Philippines, Thailand, di ba, pag nag-aaral, aral talaga, ang hirap magtrabaho kasi full-time talaga yung pag-aaral doon and competition. While in majority of first world countries, pwede mo pagsabayan and they will encourage you to do that. And I think there's a positive side to it. Na yung mga students say Australia, US, UK, their mind hindi masyadong burnt out. Because you're not just studying, you get a chance to work then kasi flexible yung yung studies. Though not always, no. Depende naman yan sa'yo kung gusto mong i-full-time yung studies mo. But I think majority of people in the first world countries, they would choose to study and also work para ipon na sila, build their credit rating as well. So, top-notcher ka sa Philippines, nursing, graduate ka ng Maddox.
Apa.
May affect ba to yung naghanap ka na ng work dito sa Australia?
Sa Australia, wala. Kasi during my time, parang 8 kami sa barkada sa University of Canberra. And ako lang yung fresh graduate. So amongst us 8, ako lang yung hindi nakahanap ng nursing-related field na trabaho. So some of them went to the hospital, some in the aged care, residential care. Pero ako talaga kahit anong try ko, hindi ako makapasok. That's why I ended up doing the odd jobs like barbecue boy or sa fish market. So hindi talaga siya naging advantageous for me when it comes to finding a job here in Australia.
But did you work then in the Philippines?
No, I didn't. Kasi I finished nursing in 2015, then took the board exam, and then moved in Australia around 2016. So parang hindi na rin talaga. Pero in the Philippines specifically, I think nakatulong siya kung nagtrabaho ako sa Pilipinas. Kasi sometimes the hospitals would actually give me a call in regards to applying to them. Kasi nakikita siguro nila yung names or yung lists ng mga board top-notchers during our time.
How's your experience naman studying in Australia and being a top-notcher sa Philippines?
Honestly, nakakababa ng self-esteem when I moved to Australia kasi when I was in the Philippines, it's more about theory. So parang memorization, identification, enumeration. But when I moved to Australia, it's more of assessment through essays na hindi masyadong sineseryoso during my time sa Pilipinas na parang you can just copy and paste or you can just write whatever you want. And the professors would just acknowledge na, okay, good thing that you've written your assessment. Pero dito sobrang strict na kailangan meron ka talagang cohesive background, supporting information or documents to support your assessments. So parang sa akin, when I moved here, it kind of drained my self-esteem kasi ang bababa ng scores na nakuha ko when I started studying in UC as compared when I was studying in the Philippines. Kasi nga, it was a culture shock as well, siguro yung na-experience ko. Kasi when I moved to UC, I immediately went into the third year cohort, which is the last year of nursing, kasi nga, credit nila yung pinag-aralan ko sa Pilipinas.
Mas naging madali ba yung pag-aaral mo ng nursing sa Australia dahil mataas yung grades mo ng nursing ka sa Philippines?
Depende siguro. So, meron kasi mga parts sa Philippines na alam ko na yung theories. So, yung pag tinatanong siya sa klase dito sa Australia, alam ko na kung paano siya sagutin. Pero, again, yung sa essay form, essay way of doing the assessments, doon ako nahirapan. Kasi talagang, sometimes you have to write 3,000-word essays within 2 to 3 weeks. And then plagiarism is a big thing as well here in Australia na you cannot just copy and paste, which sa Philippines, I would be guilty of doing it sometimes kapag nag-ask yung mga professors ng assessment through essays. Yeah.
Kamusta naman yung first few weeks mo as a student in Australia kung natatandaan mo pa?
It was really challenging kasi parang akala ko kaya ko mag-accustom immediately kasi nga nakakapunta naman ako ng Australia as a tourist. Pero iba pala kapag malayo ka na talaga sa pamilya mo tapos napapalibutan ka ng iba't ibang taong may iba't ibang kultura. So parang there are certain jokes na hindi mo magets o meron ka mga jokes na gustong sabihin na hindi naman nila magets. So parang sa akin it was challenging in a way of kind of conforming myself into the new environment that I had. Even though I'm a sociable person, I actually find it really difficult to establish, social connections during my first few weeks and even months in Australia.
Ano naman yung mga biggest culture shock moment mo yung dumating ka sa Australia?
Biggest culture shock siguro, well, yung walang kanin, isa yon kasi pag sa dorm ako nakatira and they'll say like, oh, let's have dinner, ganyan. And most of them will just have salads or roast chicken and ganon. And sa akin, laging may kanin dapat kasi sanay ako sa ganon eh. And also another culture shock yung siguro yung mga shortcuts ng Australians, like yung Macas, McDonald's to Macas, cigarettes to Sigi. So during that time, kasi ang kasama ko sa dorm, mostly mga Australians na dito na lumaki. So they will kind of have a conversation with me and parang sabi ko, hindi ko talaga sila magets. And another thing is yung accent, of course, kasi we grew up in an English country, pero it's more of an American accent. So hearing it from an Australian perspective or Australian accent, nahirapan akong mag-intindi during that time.
And how long did it take you to get used to it sa Australian slang and yung accent?
Siguro around 3 to 6 months kasi during that time, wala akong choice kundi makisamahan din yung mga hindi Filipinos. Nung una, parang feeling ko kailangan ko makisama sa mga Pilipino para mas maging komportable. Pero minsan okay din pala na lumabas ka doon sa comfort zone mo at you know and learn about the culture and the language of other people around you.
Ako din yung culture shock ko eh. Kasi I have cousins here. They grew up here. One day pumunta kami ng I think KFC or Mac's. Nasa car pa lang, sabi ko, anong orderin nyo? Nag-drive pa lang kami. Sabi niya, I get chicken and chips, sabi niya. Sabi ko, anong chips yon? Kasi yung chips na nasa isip ko, yung pang potato chips, pang piatos, gano'n, di ba? Hindi ko alam na yung chips pala dito is pang french fries sa atin.
Yeah.
Tapos yun nila ako, ano daw orderin ko? Sabi ko, maybe I'll get chicken and rice. Nagtawanan sila. Sabi ko, what's funny? Sabi nila, we don't do that here.
Yeah.
You're not in the Philippines. If you want rice, magbaon ka ng rice. Sabi ko, okay, ganun ba yan? Sige, so, for me, it took me a while to get used to just eating chicken, tapos french fries, or yung chips, na walang rice. Kasi pag pumunta ka sa Jollibee, sa McDo sa atin, may rice eh. Sides lang yung chips and yung chicken, di ba?
Opo.
So, ayun, nakakatawa.
Yun, totoo. At saka, feeling ko kaya yung parang conversing in everyday life na English, doon ako nahirapan. Kasi I remember when I was working in a fish market, tapos may hawak kong malaking tuna. Tapos usually kasi pag sa fish market, tatanungin mo kung gusto bang tanggalin yung tail, ganyan. Tapos sobrang busy namin na parang hindi ko makonstruct yung sentence ko. So, ang daming tao nun. So, sumigaw na lang ako na parang, Sir, sabi ko ngayon, do you want to remain the tail? So, parang, yung mga Pilipino doon, tawa sila ng tawa. Tapos sabi ko, oh my God, mali nga. Sabi ko, tama ba? Sabi ko, do you want the tail to be remained? Mali pa rin. So, parang, dapat you have to cut off. Do you want the tail to be cut off? So, parang yung mga ganong instances na nakakatuwa. Pero pag naalala mo ngayon, natatawa ka na lang kasi na-survive mo naman. Parang ganon.
Cringe moments.
Yeah, cringe moment, sobra.
Ano yung lights? Dati tawag ko dyan. Can you please open the light?
Open the light. Yeah.
Turn on
Turn on pala, yeah.
Kasi sa Tagalog, yung open, buksan, di ba? Buksan, ang daming That's funny about yung language difference.
Totoo.
Nakakuha ka ba agad ng nursing job nung dumating ka dito or did you have other jobs before you got into nursing?
No, I didn't. So, when I moved to Australia, parang more than a year din akong di nakapagtrabaho na nursing related. Kasi ang hirap, kasi nga po wala akong experience sa Philippines during that time. So, my first job was with not Lolo and Lola, with Hoy Pinoy. I don't know if you're familiar. So, it's like a barbecue stand na pupunta all over Australia. So, yun yung naging job ko for first 2 weeks. Pero nga, dahil transient lang sila, 2 weeks lang ako nagtrabaho sa kanila. So, that's when I found a job as a fish vendor sa Balconian Markets. And that kind of supported my studies, my financial needs, in support of my family as well, during my uni days in University of Canberra. And then, yun, in between, syempre, finding odd jobs like cleaning jobs, mostly cleaning jobs yung mga napasukan ko, on top of the fish market job.
And how did that make you feel? Na top-notcher ka sa Philippines, graduate ka ng Maddox, and then pagdating mo dito, sa fish market ka, naglilinis ka ng toilet.
Nung una, nakakababa ng tingin or nakakasad kasi parang tatanungin ko sa sarili ko, do I deserve this? Na parang sa dinami ng inaral ko, sa tinaas ko sa Pilipinas, parang deserve ko ba to? But then, I realized yung value ng humility na parang you have to start from scratch. You have to, to be humble na parang lumipat ka sa ibang bansa na hindi credited mostly ng mga experiences or pinag-aralan mo. So, you have to now not think about how high you were, but how could you start from scratch again and be humble always. Yun yung value na feeling ko natutunan ko during that time.
What do you think is your lowest moment as an international student dito sa Australia?
Siguro my lowest moment was when I got hospitalized while I was still a student in UC. Kasi yun yung daming nangyayari na na-accused ako ng plagiarism, and then there was a visa called 457 before na na-abolish during my second semester na dapat yun yung a-applyan ko. And then, ayun, yung parang yung culture shock, yung pagka-miss ko sa pamilya. So, parang patong-patong na siya. I think that was 5th or 6th month of me staying in Australia. So, when I was in placement, nagpalpitate ako, and then I was rushed through to ED while in placement kasi nga parang I was having pre-syncopal episodes na parang muntik akong mahimatay. So, I think that was my lowest moment up to this date since I moved to Australia.
So what did you do at that time? Paano ka naka-recover?
So during that time, I just really want to go home. So when I called my mom and my lola, they were all crying na parang umuwi ka na lang dito sa Pilipinas, hindi mo naman kailangan magpakahirap dyan. So parang sa akin, all of those things were signs for me to go home. But then I talked to one of my uncles who's also a nurse in Gold Coast, and he told me na walang signs, but there will always be challenges. So if you look at this negative things that's happening to our life as a sign to give up, we'll just really immediately give up. Na parang simpleng tinatamad ka gumising or malamig yung tubig bago ka maligo. Sa inyo yun eh. Pero if you overcome these obstacles, these challenges, and you actually focus on your goals, na parang you will overcome them. And you actually, you will become a better version of you and you will actually achieve the dreams that you wanted. Parang ganun.
So yung lowest moment na yun sa buhay mo, how did that affect you now?
I think now, every time I experience a hiccup in my life, I always go back to that day na parang kung na-survive ko yun na na-hospital akong mag-isa, ano yung hindi ko masu-survive. Parang ganun, na parang I'm now a citizen, parang I've achieved yung PR and citizenship na dati ko iniisip na sobrang imposible or ang hirap na na-achieve ko ngayon. So every time I experience anything negative in my life now, I always look back at those beginnings na na-survive ko kasi if I've survived that, I can survive anything now.
So after nung Bachelor of Nursing, nag-masters ka din. Bakit?
So I studied Bachelor of Nursing in Australia for 1 year, but for you to actually have a graduate visa, you have to be at least studying 2 years. So hindi ako eligible for that. And then the 457 visa that I was talking about earlier was abolished, na dapat yun yung visa ang applyan ko. So I had no choice but to study masters kasi I could not study another bachelor's when I already finished a bachelor degree. So the master's degree that I studied in Queensland was 1.5. So that gave me 2.5 years of studying in Australia, and that made me eligible for applying for graduate visa.
May naitulong ba yung pag-aaral mo ng Masters of Nursing dito sa Australia?
Yeah, so una financially, so may additional sweldo ka kapag undertake ka ng masters when you're practicing as a registered nurse. And also when I studied masters kasi it's more of independent review or independent study kasi alam na ng mga professors or conveners nyo na nurses na kayo. So it gave me more kind of what I call this. It gave me more comfort of doing things on my own or being independent when doing nursing interventions kasi during the time they allow us to do or to decide what interventions we should do to the patient instead of them telling us what to do.
Speaking of yung salary ng nurses, compared dun sa nag-bachelor's degree, dun sa nag-masters, what's the difference in dollar value?
So every fortnight it's $150 additional
150 every fortnight.
every fortnight.
So a month, that's 300 extra.
300 extra.
And do you think that's worth all the work, that extra $300?
For me, yes. Kasi when you study masters, you can also climb up the ladder quicker. So if you're a registered nurse and you want to apply a level 2 position, they give you credit when you studied a postgrad or postgrad qualification, and most especially if you studied a master's degree.
So may importante siya. If you can afford it.
Yeah, if you can afford it and if you really want to do it as well.
But you don't have to.
No, you don't. Yeah.
May sipag ka lang mag-aral.
Masipag lang. Bida-bida lang talaga.
Ano naman yung difference between studying ng Bachelors of Nursing and Masters of Nursing?
So, the bachelor's is mostly guided ka pa rin ng mga conveners, ng mga educators mo. Kasi it's getting into the field of nursing. Pero when you're doing your master's, you're already in the field of nursing. So, it's kind of they don't expect too much, but they also expect too much. Kasi parang they don't expect too much because they know that you know what you're doing. But they also expect too much because they know that you know what you're doing. So parang they will give us an assessment and then sometimes they won't give us any clues or any guidance. And then we will decide about what the patient's diagnosis is and how are we going to intervene with that. So it's more of autonomy education when it comes to masters as compared to bachelors.
Let's talk about your viral post. Kailan mo siya pinost and paano siya nag-viral?
So, pinost ko siya when I celebrated my 25th birthday in January. And then I shared it in the aim of actually kind of just sharing my story. Kasi beforehand, parang I was quite embarrassed to tell my story of, doing the fish market job or cleaning jobs. Pero when I finished my master's and I, celebrated my 25th birthday na parang sabi ko, I think I should be proud of whatever I've done. Of course, with the guidance of my family still. So, kaya ako siya pinost during that time. And then, naging viral siya slowly eh. Kasi parang at first it was just like 100 shares and then 200 shares and most of those people I know. So parang sabi ko, okay, natuwa naman sa ganito. And kasi karamihan sa kanila kasama ko rin sa Canberra so nakarelate sila dun sa story. And then I think I woke up the next day and it was around 1,000 share. So okay, that's not a usual number of shares that I have. And then yun na, parang tuloy-tuloy na siyang naging continuous na dumami yung shares until naging 10,000 and 20 and 30. And then may mga tao na nagme-message sa akin if I could be featured and all of that. So that's when I realized na parang, okay, I think my post got viral. Kasi even if you search it on Google, parang yung Jundam, lalabas na dun yung viral post na, na ginawa ko noong mga panahon na yun.
Pero did you expect the post to be viral?
I didn't really. So parang I just expected it to be appreciated by some people, especially those that I've met when I was studying nursing in Canberra. Pero getting it to that viral stage, hindi ko siya in-expect, honestly. Kasi it's my personal experience and sometimes personal experience doesn't really get that viral load kasi nga parang hindi nakaka-relate yung ibang tao. Pero yun, shockingly, nakarelate yung mas maraming tao sa storya ko.
And how did that make you feel? Yung alam mong viral, ang dami naka-appreciate.
So it made me kind of really honored na parang naka-inspire ako ng maraming tao. Kasi I think there was one day, I think that was 3 days after I posted that post na may nag-message sa akin na that person was actually thinking of taking his life. And then nung nabasa niya yung post ko, kasi it talks about, that there are times wherein we really kind of crumble down. So sabi nung nag-message sa akin na salamat dahil nag-post ka nito dahil nung nabasa ko, parang it kind of given that person hope at least to even just live for a day. So I talked to that person privately and and discussed what's happening. So I think that kind of gave me the responsibility as well na parang I should be or I can be someone who can inspire people kahit hindi ko sila kilala or kahit strangers pa sila sa akin.
So maraming na-inspire. Meron din bang mga naging haters or bashers on the side?
Well, meron din, pero siguro mga nasa 5%. So, yun yung mga tao nagsasabing hindi totoo yung pinost ko or na liar ako or fake yung mga pinagpo-post ko, which hindi ko talaga nabigyan masyado ng attention because I know my story, our stories are based on facts and it's based on my experience and whatever my experience is or are is subjective. So parang sa akin, yun yung na-experience ko and I have people who can actually corroborate with my stories, yung mga classmates ko and friends from Canberra. So yun lang, parang meron pero I didn't really give them any attention.
So that's how you dealt with them?
Yeah,
You just ignored them?
ignored them. As long as they're not like personally harming me or hurting me, ganun.
One thing I learned about haters kasi laging meron eh. Ako din, ito, very normal. Ano ka ng NBA or PBA. Diba? Gusto mo ipasa nung kakampi kay Lebron, pero hindi pinasa. Galit ka, diba? Sabi, bobo naman ito, ganyan. Kung ako nandyan, ganito gagawin ko eh. Diba? So, hindi mo alam, pag nandun ka sa nanonood ka, diba? Laging may haters eh. Kasi you think you know better. You think na mas matalino ka, pero hindi mo alam yung pinagdadaanan ng tao. Hindi mo alam yung feeling nung nandun sa situation na yan. So if you don't understand something, at least try to understand. Or kung tingin mo hindi naman makakabuti yung sasabihin mo, just keep your mouth shut and move on.
Correct.
Kasi once you comment something negative, once you start hating someone, you're just projecting your frustration eh. Nagve-vent ka lang eh. So, what does that say about you? If you're the type of person who hate things, nakikita yung laman ng puso mo. So, it's not, most of the time, it's not about you. They don't hate you or us. They don't bash you. They hate their situation kasi they wanted to be in a better position, but we don't know their story, but they find it hard to get out of that zone. Kaya pinaproject nila yung hate nila in that form. Yeah. So, that's very good. Okay. Ano naman yung mga naging changes sa buhay mo? Yung naging viral ka?
Siguro minimal changes lang yung parang may mga offers na mag-talk or ma-interview and then like even a small post of mine can get viral immediately kasi I've gained some followers sa Instagram and sa Facebook. Pero even though like that happened, parang I always really keep my feet on the ground na parang these people shared my post because they've also experienced the same things or probably resonates whatever the struggles or challenges they've experienced. So parang sa akin, always keep my feet on the ground and just continue to try and inspire people. Just be authentic with whatever I post na parang kung ano yung na-feel ko and I feel like that would not offend many people as long as I'm feeling that is on the right track. Parang ipopost ko siya, ganun. And yun nga, parang as well as having that responsibility of whatever I'm posting kasi I have followers. I have that some influence na parang kung may post man ako, I would kind of make sure that whatever I post is grounded by facts and not just by hearsay or yung sabi-sabi, parang ganun.
Do you think you became an instant celebrity then? Meron ba mga nagpa-picture sa'yo, naka-recognize sa'yo while you're walking on the street?
Siguro, like, during that time, nung year nung 2020 to 2021, na parang punta ako ng Gold Coast, may magme-message sa akin na parang ikaw pala yon. Even nung pumunta ako ng New Zealand, so when I went to Christchurch, I think I received two messages na parang sabi ko na nga ba ikaw yon, sana nagpa-picture kami or something like that. So I think ganun, parang instant celebrity siya in a way na parang kasi na-interview ako ni Pia Guanyo. So parang mga ganung factor lang. Pero hindi yung celebrity na talagang kilalang kilala ganun. So pero I think that it kind of lend the way for me to have that influence, that certain amount of influence to some people.
So yung naging viral ka, how did you keep yourself grounded to stay humble?
I think I always just think na I'm just a human being, na parang pare-pareho pa rin tayo ng sitwasyon, pare-pareho pa rin tayo ng estado, na siguro may mga na-achieve ako, but that doesn't mean I'm better off than anyone else. Kasi may mga bagay rin na hindi ko kayang gawin na napakagaling ng ibang tao. So, I think when I compare something, I don't compare myself to anyone. I just compare myself who I was a year ago, a month ago, a decade ago. And that's where I see something to work on, not on other people's successes, but on my own kind of limitations and work on that. Parang ganun.
One of my favorite story, Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. He hired someone, si Roman Emperor siya, he hired someone to follow him around. Now, whenever he get praises, yung trabaho nitong tao na to is to tell him, you're just a man. And me, I try to practice that and remind myself na whenever someone praise me, even on and off social media, I keep reminding myself, you're just a man. And you're also, a child of God. Na kundi dahil sa kanya, you don't have all these things. And maybe to help myself keep grounded, because I know in a snap of God, everything can go away kung gugustuhin niya. So, for me, in anything that I do, I try my best to honor Him, to honor God. And again, to remind myself, I'm just a man. I'm no higher than anyone else. So, yeah. Maybe I should have that as a screensaver on my phone, my computer. You're just a man. You've been very vocal with your political and social stands, and that's very brave. Hindi lahat ng tao, they're happy or proud to be public about it, to be proud about it. Ikaw, bakit?
So siguro, like what I said earlier, na parang I always keep my post factual based, na parang hindi ako magi-stand sa isang bagay na alam kong baka hindi ko masuportahan. So for me, when I make a stand, it's always based on what I read and also how it made me feel. So, for example, in the political aspect na parang paano nakatulong itong ang isang kandidato during my time sa Philippines when I was still like leading off the I am making a difference.
And
Parang
just to
ganun.
clarify, sino itong kandidato?
Lenny Robredo, si former Vice President Lenny Robredo. So parang for her, like specifically for Lenny, parang natulungan niya yung government, ay yung organization namin to still continue with our adhikains, even COVID pandemic na sobrang daming limitations. And also for me, parang sa akin, inaral ko talaga kung ano yung mga mga achievements niya and also kung ano yung mga nagawa niyang proyekto na pwedeng makatulong palalo pag nakaupo siyang bilang presidente during that time.
Usually, pag galing sa Pilipinas, dalawa lang yung pinagpipilian. Either Sydney or Melbourne. Usually. But ikaw, bakit mo pinili Canberra?
Because probably I grew up in the city already. Like, I grew up in Manila. So, parang sa akin, siguro naumay na ako sa crowded, sa gulo, sa city life. So, when I moved to Australia, I actually found Canberra boring before. Pero parang getting older, probably, it kind of made me feel more at ease and comfortable when I'm in Canberra kasi parang it's a big country town. Pero meron kaming mga malls, meron kaming mga shops, so meron kaming Costco rin, meron kaming IKEA, so hindi siya parang sobrang boring na lugar. And I think yung discipline sa Canberrans is may kita mo talaga even sa mga drivers. And yung workplace ko, like 5 to 10 minutes drive, andun na ako, walang hassle sa traffic. So para sa akin, I really love Canberra kasi even now, like I go to different places. I go to Sydney, going to Melbourne, and I enjoy the city life. Pero I'll reach a certain day na parang nakakapagod na. But the moment I enter Canberra, parang okay, I'm at home, I can rest now. Parang ganun.
So, citizen ka na?
Yes
And you're
po.
working as a full-time nurse? Saan ka nag-work?
Calvary Private Hospital. Bilang nurse sa high dependency unit.
And did you choose that hospital?
During that time, yes. Kasi, and I'm still choosing it now, of course. Kasi I moved there in 2020 during pandemic, and that was because my visa, I was still on graduate visa, and naubos na yung graduate visa ko. I only have like 8 months left, and getting PR in Queensland during that time was so challenging and so difficult kasi yung competition mo marami. So I decided to go back to Canberra kasi they have a different pathway kasi of giving permanent residency. So I applied there and then I got the job after applying for a month, and then yun bumalik ako ng Canberra, and then after 6 months of work in Canberra I got my permanent residency.
Jao, are you happy to be in Australia right now?
Yes, I am happy to be in Australia right now kasi yung quality of life hindi mo na para sa akin hindi ko siya makukuha pag nasa Pilipinas ako. Yung life and work balance hindi ko siya makukuha pag nasa Pilipinas ako. Yung simpleng lalabas ka ng bahay tapos meron kang comfort of safety and security. Feeling ko pag nasa Pilipinas ako nagstay for good, hindi ko na siya mararamdaman pa. Parang ganun.
Can you also give us an idea kung magkano yung kinikita ng nurse from fresh grad and up to senior level?
So, kasi dito sa Australia, meron tayong 3 levels if I'm not mistaken. So, level 1, 2, and 3. And then from level 1, there's year 1 to year 8. And then for level 2, I think it's 1 to 3. Pero pag level 3 kasi, pag level 3 ka na, yun yung mga nurse unit managers, I think. I'm not really sure. Pero base rate, siguro mo nasa 35-ish to 36 per hour. Pero wala pa dun yung penalty rate mo pag nag-afternoon shift ka, nag-night shift ka, nag-double shift, and also weekend shifts. So me, I'm level 1 year 5, and I'm currently getting probably like $48 per hour without the penalty rates as well. So lumalaki yung sweldo, or kumikita kami dahil sa mga penalty rates like afternoon shifts, night shifts, and weekend rates.
And as a nurse, are you allowed to take pang double shifts? Pwede yan.
Yeah, pwede. Oh. So, kahit kasi ngayon marami pa ring understaffing even here in Australia. So, I actually like doing double shifts like afternoon to night shifts kasi I know my patient in the afternoon, so I would know how to deal with them during the night. Tapos double pay na yon, and then if you're rostered for a morning shift the next day and then you did a double before that day, they'll pay you for the whole shift nung morning shift mo dapat na parang sleep day mo yon. So bayad yon, and then so malaki ang kita mo kasi naka-double pay ka na tapos babayaran ka pa sa isang araw na tulog ka lang.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're asleep, but then you're making money.
Yeah, I'm asleep and earning money. So that's why whenever parang ang roster ko PM and morning the next day, parang tinatanong ko lagi after hours, may nag-call on sick ba kasi I can do double shift, ganyan. Pero syempre bibigyan nila yan sa parang kumbaga mas murang staff, ganun.
So monthly, ano yung average?
Monthly siguro papatak ng mga monthly mga 6 to 7,000
6 to 7K per month.
per month.
And just to clarify, why are you happy to share yung kinikita mo? Well, first, hindi naman to sikreto. If people go on Google, type in magkano kinikita ng nurse. Kasi as Filipinos, medyo, until now, parang we're shy to share our finances kung magkano kinikita. But when you talk to the Western culture, they're open to saying. But for you, as a Filipino, ano yung nabago? Why are you happy to share this?
Kasi una sa pool, pinaghirapan ko yun. So parang nakaka-proud na malaman ng mga tao na ito pala yung kinakalabasan ng paghihirap mo. And also to inspire other people na, if you wanna pursue nursing, it's good money as well. And if you really love it, parang you're not really working a day of your life kasi you're providing service to the people. Parang ganun.
Have you thought about doing travel nurse?
Yes, I did. Pero sa ngayon kasi happy pa talaga ako sa job ko dun sa hospital and parang love ko talaga yung Canberra. So, I don't know. I'm really happy with Canberra at the moment.
Kasi from what I heard, they make so much more.
Yeah, they do. And what they have is like they work for probably 3 to 6 months and then off nila for 3 to 6 months and that can support their travel all around the world. Ganun. Kasi marami rin akong kaibigan na hihikayat sa akin na mag-travel nurse. Pero ewan ko, ngayon kasi wala pa dun yung mindset ko eh. I'm really happy with Calvary Private at the moment, so I'm staying.
Nag-work ka din during COVID pandemic.
Yes, I worked in Redcliffe Hospital sa Brisbane. So I was working in COVID ward.
And how was that? Ano yung hindi mo makakalimutang bagay?
Siguro yung trauma and yung parang clueless kayo lahat sa anong nangyayari. Kasi I work in medical assessment unit, so we technically get any patient na wala pang final diagnosis. So we get respiratory conditions or cases, pero hindi pa namin alam dati kung emphysema, asthma, or COPD. Pero when COVID happened, all respiratory conditions or symptoms, we consider that as a a probable COVID case. So, kinonvert yung unit namin into a COVID ward. And during that time, wala pang vaccines. During that time, hindi pa alam kung ano talaga yung pathophysiological processes nitong COVID. So, nakakatakot kasi hindi mo alam kung nakuha mo na at kung nakuha mo na, saan mo pa siya mapapasa. So, during that time, again, nakakaawa yung mga may anak, yung may mga pamilyang inuuwian kasi hindi nila alam kung asymptomatic lang ba sila at pag-uwi nila, mahahawa nila yung pamilya nila. And during that time, again, COVID is like a death sentence na pag nagka-COVID ka, sorry, kung mahina resistensya mo, paalam, parang ganun. And one of the, I think, traumatizing experience is actually looking after a patient na either COVID or COVID positive and then they will pass away. Kasi hindi sila pwedeng makita ng pamilya, hindi sila pwedeng hawakan ng sino mang malapit sa kanila. So kaming nurses mismo yung maglilinis, kami yung magdadala sa morgue and all of that. So during that time, after namin gawin yon, yung mga head nurses namin, they'll allow us to actually express or vent what we are feeling. So lalabas kami ng ospital, iiyak namin yon kasi it was really emotionally daunting kasi hindi namin alam kung ano ba yung mararamdaman namin, takot, pangamba, tapos yung moment of parang hindi kayo sure kung ano nangyayari sa ospital nyo, parang ganun. And sa mundo in general.
So how do you cope pagka namamatayan ka ng pasyente?
Well, sa amin kasi sa Islam, lagi may iniisip na lahat tayo mamamatay. I mean, I think for all religions naman na gano'n, na parang as long as you've lived a good life or you were a good person where you were living, that would be enough. So, ang outlet ko talaga noon is calling my mom, calling my family, asking them how they are. Probably just like making sure that they're okay makes me feel that I'm okay. I think that's how I cope up. Na parang siguro insensitive dun sa taong namatay, pero I also have to look after myself. Na parang I could not let COVID drown me down as well, na it will give me emotional and physical torture. Pero yun, na parang I always think na it's okay, it's done, kasi hindi pa natin alam kung ano mangyayari. So, pasok ulit, just do your job, and just be caring. Yun yung lagi ko iniisip ng panahon na yun, na parang lahat kayo uncertain kung ano nangyayari, lahat kayo anxiety, even the patients and the nurses, everyone has anxiety during that time kasi hindi natin alam yung nangyayari. So, what I could just do is, offer my services and be kind and be available for those who needs me while working as a nurse.
Sa mga social media post mo, you always try to be positive, to be inspiring and motivational. But I know, coming from experience, not every day, parang sunshine and rainbows. How do you deal with depression or anxiety? That day will come na you just not feeling it and you have parang existential crisis or napapa-question ka, ano bang ginagawa ko? Is this even worth it? Yung mga moments na yan, how do you deal with that?
Ako kasi parang I'm the type of person who always plan things out. So parang I really get annoyed kapag ba hindi natutuloy. Pero like what you said, there are days na parang hindi yata sang-ayon yung mundo sa akin. So what I do is just take a break, have a breath, and then think na meron pang oras. Lagi kang may timeline to do whatever you want in life. Na parang as long as you are there, you are present, that you are not giving up on whatever you want to do, there's still a chance, there's still a hope. So parang sa akin yung pinanghawakan ko yung hope na balang araw, bukas man yan, sa susunod na buwan, sa susunod na taon, magagawa ko rin yung gusto kong gawin. So siguro ngayon, kung sinasabi ng mundo magpahinga ka, magpapahinga ako, pero bukas, lalaban ako ulit. Parang ganun.
Panganay ka na sa magkakapatid.
Yes po.
And is there a pressure? How does that make you feel?
Pressure kasi parang I have to be the role models of my brothers. Pero it turned out great kasi they're both good brothers naman, nasa New Zealand sila. So yun yung pressure siguro, and kahit hindi sa akin binibigay ng mother ko yung pressure, I feel the financial pressure na mag-give back, sorry, mag-give back and tumulong sa mama ko, sumuporta sa aking mga kapatid. So, yun yung pressure na nararamdaman ko na to be a good role model and also to actually help my mom finance my younger brothers as well.
So yung nag-move ka ng Australia, did you help your family financially?
Well, during that time, I wasn't able to kasi alam ni mama na hirap din talaga ako kasi nga hindi ako makahanap ng nursing-related jobs. Tapos, ang mahal ng tuition. So, I think my tuition fee in UC before was like around 24 to 30,000 Australian dollars in a year. Tapos may expenses ka pa, daily expenses ka pa. So, naintindihan naman ni mama yon, and never talaga akong pinessure ng mama ko. I think that's what I really appreciated with my mom, na she never really pressured me to, oy, ano, nandiyan ka na sa Australia, mag-abot ka naman, ganyan. She's always just saying, take your time. If you can help, help. But if you can't, just help yourself. Parang ganun.
But what advice naman can you give to someone na they don't have a choice but have to send money back home?
I think it's a matter of really being vocal on how you are feeling and what your situation is. Kasi we can only do so much eh. If your family is pressuring you too much and at the extent na parang tinitake advantage mo or tinitake advantage mo ng sarili mo, I think you really have to speak up. Nakausapin mo yung pamilya mo na hindi ganito kadali mag-ibang bansa. You apologize probably, pero at the end of the day, sarili mo yan eh. Ikaw lang yung may alam kung ano nangyayari sa'yo sa ibang bansa. Yung pinaghihirapan mo, yung paghihirap mo, ikaw lang yung nakakaramdam. So kung talagang pamilya mo yung pamilya mo, may intindihan nila na hindi sa araw-araw kaya mo magbigay. Kasi may mga araw na dapat ikaw rin yung binibigyan. Parang ganun.
I remember nung international student ako, I constantly helped my family financially. Pambayad ng tuition ng kapatid, bills, and I was the breadwinner. But then when I started my business, ang hirap pagsabayan eh. So I said to my family, I'm gonna stop giving money to the Philippines. Only for about 5 to 6 months. Bear with me, guys, because I'm working on something on my business. And kailangan ko yung pera to invest in my company. And after 6 months, pinadalang ko ulit sila. Even bigger. And, sent my parents to holiday. Mas masarap na yung kinakain nila pag birthday. Lagi naman masarap kasi mom ko magaling magluto. Pero yung pinupunta nila medyo, upgraded na. And for me, that's how I wanted to show them my love. I want you guys to experience the good things that I experienced here in Australia, pero sa Pilipinas. And for me, I guess one of my proudest moment last year, 2023, I was able to bring my entire family on a tourist visa from Philippines to here. 4 of them paid for everything. Flights, visa, food, lahat. Wala silang ginastos. And at that point, sabi ko, it's like a moment na I've made it. I was able to do that. Kasi back then, nung student visa ako nga lang uwi ng Pilipinas. Sabi ko, wow, $750. Ang bigat nun for me. Pinag-iipunan ko siya. But when I was able to treat them to come here, to see my life here, yung napundar ko dito, it was a very, very, proud moment na kung hindi dahil sa inyo, wala tong mga to. If you did not allow me to spread my wings, wala tong mga to. And now let me pay it forward, give back again, 10 times more. Yeah. So, ayan. So you're currently the Vice President of I Am Mad, a youth NGO in the Philippines. Anong ginagawa niyo dito?
So, we conduct outreach programs to far-flung places, especially yung mga impoverished places sa Philippines. Tapos, nag-i-stay kami doon for 3 days. And then we conduct parang mga games with the kids, pero with every game has kind of a value behind it. So, yung makabayan, makajos, at makabansa na values ng Pilipino ang sinishare namin. And we also give school supplies on the third day or second day namin sa camp na yon. And then, we just become part of the community even for a short time. So, sa school kami natutulog, kung ano yung kinakain ng locals, yun yung kinakain namin. Then after the 3 days, meron kami tinatawag na Mad Ventures. So that the last day would be all about the volunteers. So with I Making a Difference kasi we don't only have a certain number of volunteers. We have new volunteers every new camp that's happening. Tapos dun lang namin sila nakikilala. So it's also about building rapport amongst volunteers in the Philippines then. And going back to that Mad Venture, yun yung parang ang focus namin is kind of knowing every volunteer, knowing the story of why do you volunteer and why do you keep on volunteering. So yun. So until now, it's been, when I joined MAD, it was in 2015. I've been part of that for, I think, ano na, ilang years ba? 2015. So 7, 8 years. But it's been longer than that. And now we have more than 300 to 500 volunteers from only being two during the time where the founders founded the organization.
So nakapag-volunteer ka ba din? Kahit nandito ka sa Australia, full-time nurse ka?
Yeah, so every time I go home to the Philippines, we make sure na nag-organize kami ng camp kung saan makakasama ako. So the last time I went home was in July last year. So we conducted in Bigias, Benguet. So 3 days din yon, and medyo sumakto siya kasi yun yung nasalanta ng landslide, and also nandun kami to even provide assistance to those who were needing it. And even now, whenever we conduct outreach programs na nasa Australia ako, I could still send financial aid, financial help, kasi nga it's an NGO, so wala taga kaming nakukuhang benefits or financial support from any people.
Currently, ang daming pagbabago sa migration system ng Australia na sinasabi mas mahirap na, balik na ulit yung show money, English test. And ang dami din tao online nagsasabi na ang hirap na. For you, do you think it's still worth it to apply for a student visa or to become an international student here in Australia?
I think it's still worth it, especially if you have permanent residency as your goal. Kasi para sa akin, the quality of life in Australia, it's really something na parang you'll feel safe and comfortable and secured na whatever happens, Australia got your back. You know, in terms of financial needs, we have Centrelink. In terms of healthcare, we have Medicare na kahit wala kang ilabas na pera, nandyan ng ospital para makatulong sa'yo. Ganun. So para sa akin, it's the longevity of life, the quality of life in Australia. It's still a paramount as compared to other countries for me personally. So para sa akin, if you wanna be secured or safe in your future, go to Australia. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it at the end.
I love that. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Kasi wala naman naging madali dito eh.
Totoo.
Diba? Ang dami kong nakausap, na guest ko din na ganda-ganda ng buhay sa Pilipinas. They belong to the top 1%. Pagdating dito, they're nobody.
Yeah,
They
true.
had to clean toilets.
Correct.
They had to be a kitchen hand. And then, nakakangat din sila, unti-unti. And now, I asked them, do you guys have regrets leaving the Philippines? And I have not heard any of them nagsabi, I regret coming to Australia. And there must be a reason why.
Yeah.
What advice can you give dun sa mga Pilipino na gustong mag-international student sa Australia?
I think it's just keep your goal, focus on your goal, and also go back to your core. Na parang, kasi if you focus on your goal, whatever challenges you experience, whatever obstacle you experience, you will overcome them because you have the goal. But also, keep your core. You know, you go back to where you start and why you started it. Kasi sometimes we reach in a day na parang ano nang purpose ko, ano nang gagawin ko. Pero pag binilikan mo yung dahilan kung para kanino, para saan, at bakit ka lumaban at pumunta sa ibang bansa, it will give you that kind of comfort na meron kang pinaglalaban, na meron kang makakamtan pagkatapos ng paghihirap mo sa ngayon. I think yun yung pinaka-importante, yung wag ka mawawala in the process of reaching your goals. Parang ganun. Na parang keep yourself grounded and yeah.
Ngayon, Joe, ilang years ka na sa Australia?
8 years?
8 years na, citizen, ganda ng work mo. You're living the life that you want. Ngayon, para kanino ka na bumabangon?
Para sa sarili ko at sa pamilya ko pa rin talaga. I think kahit na ang dami ng bagay sa buhay ko na westernized, yung pagmamahal sa pamilya yung hindi magbabago sa akin, yung close family ties na included sila sa lahat ng pangarap at sa lahat ng gusto kong gawin sa buhay. Na parang hanggang ngayon, every time I work hard for me and my family, especially my mom, na ngayon nasa New Zealand na sila, so it wasn't really planned for them to go to New Zealand. They got stranded here during COVID, and then yung kapatid niya kasi nagtatrabaho sa New Zealand. So parang sabi ko, sige lang, labas ng pera, pero it's okay kasi gusto ko maging komportable sila. So like what you said earlier, yung having your family experience the comfort that you're having, it's also one of my ultimate goals in life talaga, na may experience nila yung comfort, yung safety na nararamdaman din natin dito sa Australia.
If you have one wisdom to share to the world, ano ito at bakit?
I think it's be your authentic self, because we have our own challenges that we overcome, that we can inspire others, and we also have our own strengths that we can share and we can guide other people. So be authentic, be you, kasi you have your own story to tell. You don't compare yourself to other, but you compare yourself to who you were before. So I think that's the wisdom that I want to share every day to everyone, is just be yourself. No matter what happens, keep who you are.
Kung may isang bagay na makapagpabalik sa'yo sa Pilipinas, ano ito at bakit?
Siguro, Medicare. Kung may libre tayong healthcare sa Pilipinas, siguro uwi ako ng Pilipinas. Kasi pag sa Pilipinas, kapag nagkasakit ka at wala kang continuous money na pumapasok, talagang malulubog ka sa utang eh. So I think it's the Medicare financially.
This is coming from a nurse.
Nurse, yeah. Mm.
Saan mo gusto mag-retire? Sa Australia or sa Pilipinas?
Sa Australia. Sa Australia pa rin. Kasi sa ngayon sa Australia, I don't know in the future. Pero ngayon kasi pag napupunta ako sa mga residential aged care, parang okay pa rin eh. Okay pa rin yung life nila eh. And my family is here as well. So parang technically wala na akong bablikang specific na pamilya sa Pilipinas. Ganun.
Kung bibigyan kita ng 10 million pesos to move back to the Philippines permanently, wala nang balikan sa Australia, will you take it?
No. Kasi first of all, I can earn that 10 million in Australia, and second, the quality of life in Australia is nothing compared to the Philippines.
Ang daming sasabi na, take the 10 million tapos mag-business ka sa Philippines.
Hindi pa rin eh. Para sa akin ha, kasi yung healthcare kasi main thing for me eh. Parang grabe, ang dami kong friends, ang dami kong kamag-anak na lumubog sa utang dahil nagkaroon ng sakit at wala silang perang may bayad sa hospital. So, and healthcare, sakit, it's always there. It's inevitable. We will experience that. Pero dito in Australia, we have emergency departments. We have walk-in centers na libre. So, para sa akin, health is wealth, sabi nga nila. So, anong mangyayari sa pera mo kung lagi kang may sakit? At least kung dito ka magkasakit, libre.
Fast talk, adobo or fish and chips?
Adobo,
Boracay or Bondi Beach?
Boracay,
Liver spread or Vegemite?
liver spread,
BGC or Sydney CBD?
BJC,
Uber or tricycle?
tricycle.
Bakit?
I just love the pollution.
I love the pollution. Flat tops or Team Tam?
Flat tops,
Winter or summer?
winter,
Westfield or SM Mega Mall?
SM Mega Mall.
Bakit?
Ang daming shops.
Open till late, no?
Oo, open till late.
Baguio or Blue Mountains?
Baguio,
Gold Coast or Palawan?
Palawan.
Why?
Palawan is relaxed. Gold Coast is chaos.
Really?
Yeah.
Yung Gold Coast flat eh. Puro party.
Yeah, exactly. And grabe, kasi my uncle works in Gold Coast Hospital, so, and I also go there sometimes. Ang gulo. Palawan is serene. It's
Maybe
really
depends on your goal. Kung gusto mong party-party.
Oh, party siguro talagang sa Gold Coast ka.
But to relax, unwind.
Palawan.
Australia or Pilipinas?
Australia.
Why?
Because I'm here now.
Jao Jundam, thank you for being in the show.
Thank you, Kuya.